Thank you for coming to the meeting. Call to order at 5:58. Flag solution? Flag?
Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and you may be seated.
Approval of agenda for March 10, 2022. Do I have a first motion?
I shall move.
Do I have a second?
Second motion.
Cornell,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Tapia,
Aye.
Permis and I. Public comments? Action item, request to approve the agenda between FSD and PRO for summer intervenes and enrichment program. Do I have a first motion
No discussion.
or if there's any
I shall
questions? or-
move.
No? Do I have a second?
Second motion.
Cornell,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Tapia,
Aye.
and Permis and I. Adjourn at 6.
Sorry that we had a special board meeting. We had one contract that came in after the date, so we had to do it on a special board meeting.
Call to order. Any public comments for closed session? Convenes to closed session
So that's 6:01.
at 6:01. Reconvenes to open session. Pledge of allegiance.
Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and you may be seated.
Closed session announcement. Approval of stimulate expulsion. Roll call. Cornell. Do I have a first motion?
Yes, I so moved.
Do I have a second? Second. Cornell.
Aye.
Lawson. Aye. Tapia.
Aye.
Firmus and I. Approval of agenda for March 10, 2022. Do I have a first motion?
Third motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Hold on just a second.
Aye.
It's on there, Mr. Matt. Okay, yeah.
Okay. The Burnell and I. Lawson. Aye. Tapia
Aye.
and Firmus and I. Public comments.
Seeing no public comments, no public. comment.
Next regular board meeting, April 14, 2022.
Recognition.
No, it's.
Oh, I'm here.
Okay. Okay, this is the fun part. We have Empowering Employee Award for Evelina Marquez. Mr. Mack, if you could kind of help come with me and help me present that.
Yeah, Ms. Marquez, we need you to come up here.
So the district recognizes the hard work of Evelina Marquez from Shirley Lane Elementary by honoring her with the Empowering Employee Award. This award is granted to an employee within the school district who performs his or her duties with pride, a positive spirit, and a sense of teamwork. So Ms. Johnson really wanted to be here today to present this to you, but she is out of training. And so Mr. Mack has graciously agreed to honor you, and we are very proud to present this to you.
And I just want to say, I have no biases in this district. I'm very unbiased when it comes to school sites. But I have to say that the reading specialist at Shirley Lane, and again, I have no biases here in this matter. The reading specialist at Shirley Lane does a phenomenal job, just like the other ones. However, I get to talk about Miss Marquez tonight, and I know how uncomfortable it makes her when I do that. So I'm going to make it go a little longer. So I have to say, I got the privilege to work with her as a principal for about 5-6 years over at Shirley Lane, and she was my reading specialist there for the vast majority of that time. And our program truly flourished under her direction, as did the districts. But I have to say that getting to work with her, seeing her interact with the students, with her colleagues, and the amount of success that came from the students, from the work that she put in, was just quite amazing. And it was a really privilege, an absolute privilege to get to work with her. And I'd have to say, of all the recognition that Shirley Lane got, it would not have been done if she wasn't that reading specialist there. So I truly proud that she was out there. I couldn't have done it without Mrs. Marquez. I couldn't have done it. So thank you.
Thank you, but it's really like a group effort, I really feel. So I couldn't have run that reading room without my aides. All of them were just great. They've been trained and they just do a phenomenal job. So I think it's really a group effort. So this is not just my word. I get help from the other reading specialists, from the teachers. Everybody just helps make it really successful. So, and thank you for the opportunity. He hired me as a reading specialist.
And I will just have to add, it's that humbleness and that pride that you have in the team that makes you deserving of this award. Okay, so we get to take our mask off and we are going to embarrass you further by putting your picture on the website. So.
I believe somebody wanted a picture. Come on up.
I'm all about pictures, and so we're gonna come back up and so you can get. No, okay. So you're, no, it's right there. Oh, it is right there. Okay. So we don't have to do that. Then we go to the guest procedure. Okay, guest speaker.
Guest speaker, Mr. Garcia.
Hello, everyone. My name is Adon Garcia. I'm a 7th and 8th grade teacher at Fairfax Junior High. This is my 3rd year teaching. I started working here in 2019. And I'm really excited here to talk to the board about a really awesome experience. I'm here to talk to you guys about an exciting opportunity for our students. World Strides is the largest accredited travel organization. World Strides is proud of their long history of their successful traveling of over 9 million students throughout the United States and the world. I'm here today because I would love our students to have an opportunity to travel to Washington, D.C. and New York City and experience an educational once-in-a-lifetime trip. Research has shown that there is a growing demand among parents and students for an experiential learning and more face-to-face interaction. In addition to that, research has shown that an immersive educational travel experience are more important, and at times they're more important now, after the pandemic. I would want to open this opportunity to all incoming 7th graders and current 7th graders this year. And now I have a video for you guys to watch. Is there an audio or? So in front of you, I gave you a little packet, and in that packet, you see the itinerary that the students would have. You will also see what the students will be learning as well. You will also see some research that has been given to you by World Strides, and you can also see some legal like insurance for you guys as well. So. And if you have any questions, my email is in the very first page, A Garcia 1. It's A Garcia 1 at fairfaxsd.us. Thank you guys. Have a good night.
I'm so glad you're doing this. You're carrying on Mary Ortiz's tradition. This is an outstanding opportunity. You know, my son Thomas,
Yeah.
he got to lay the wreath on the unknown soldier.
Oh.
Oh my gosh. Just goosebumps. Good
Well,
for you.
well, thank you.
It's fabulous.
Well, as someone that, graduated from Fairfax, I want to do, these types of trips, and they happen annually, create a tradition. And I love Fairfax. I'm so happy where I am right now. And I just want to continue, to do even more amazing trips after this one. So thank you guys. If you guys would.
I'll definitely
You're number
chaperone for
one.
that one.
Thank you, guys.
Next,
So the next regular board meeting is scheduled for April 14th, and I don't know how we missed it. But that is actually during spring break, and so we would like to move that date. So the two dates that we have possible, if we could have the board take a look at, either April 7th or April 21st. Because my staff will kill me if we have to keep it on the 14th. And Jen Spalding is agreeing.
Sorry, only date I have available is the 14th, so. I'm fine with either 7th or 21st is fine with me.
Okay, so we will publish that on the website, and we'll make sure, Christina, let's get a parent square notice out that we'll be moving that to the 7th. Mhm.
do I have a first motion for April 7th?
I'll make that first motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Cornell,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Tapia,
Aye.
and for Miss and I. Staff,
Okay, so I'm going to do this first today. We have our monthly attendance award. And this year, or this month, at 93.88, it's Zephyr Lane. No, I'm not done. I still- Okay, so what I would like to present next is, after being here for several months, having a chance to walk through sites, meet with the admin team, I'm proposing a realignment of the district services. So Mr. Mack, if you could put that up for us. And I say realignment because we already have people in these positions, but we want to streamline what they're doing so that we can support our teachers, staff, students, and community a little bit better. So if you see here, we have Ms. Brown would be Assistant Superintendent of Administrative Services. And board members, you do have this in your packet so that you don't have to turn to look at it. Yeah, it's in your folder. So Ms. Brown would be in charge of human resources, homeless and foster youth, parent education, staff development. She will be the complaint officer, workman's compensation, and all of the induction programs. We would also have Mr. Mack as Chief Administrator of Business Services. He would be in charge of fiscal services, maintenance, operation, and transportation, new construction and renovation, nutrition services, and network operations. We would have Mr. Clark be Chief Administrator of Learning Services. He would be in charge of curriculum instruction, assessment and accountability, state and federal programs, migrant services, English learner services, extended day tutoring, which everyone knows is FAST, and athletics. Mr. Garday would be Chief Administrator of Student Services, in charge of special education, health services, pupil services, expanding learning, and SARB. I would be, currently I'm secretary to the board, work with principals, negotiations, and community involvement, as well as supervising the 4 divisions. Now, with that, you'll see later on the agenda that we will be proposing to add more certificated staff to support these divisions. One of the things that we've learned since Mr. Garday has been in student services, he's done a really good job at kind of assessing some of the needs that we have. We would be adding a program specialist to help coordinate services with after school, as well as help teachers in the classroom, whether they're general education or special education, so that we are making sure that when we have kids integrate, that there's coordination of services. For Mr. Clark, we would be adding a program specialist for student information system, as well as teacher education with technology. And this will allow to, well, first of all, it'll free Mr. Clark up to do a couple other projects that we have, but it also gives our teachers a little more support in making sure that when we're putting things in our student information system, that we have an understanding of it, they can have a little more attention and support in making sure that they understand what an absence means. They understand how to use Canvas and other programs that we have. So I feel that it's important that as we start moving towards a new age of a lot of our curriculum being online, that we support our teachers in that move. I almost forgot Mr. Garday. Mr. Garday is going to get a lot of extra help. He has expanded learning, the program that we approved last board meeting for a couple $2 million that Ms. Davis is going to be heading up. We are going to be adding 2 certificated program specialists to help with the coordination of that. We want to ensure that when our students come to us after school, that those ACES leaders and anyone who's helping them have materials that are aligned to the curriculum, making sure that they get help with homework, and ensuring that especially those students who are in intervention are having coordination of services. So you'll see that proposal later. You know, I will say this has been a really kind of tough but good experience, because it gave us a chance as a team to kind of look at what, you know, where some of the gaps that we had. And as everyone knows, with the past 2 years of COVID, a lot of our kiddos have fallen behind. And we've gotten a lot of money And so we want to put our money, and that's kind of where the board shows where our priorities are, is that we want to put our money in supporting our students and staff. So, thank you.
Administrative Service, Ms. Brown?
Good evening, everyone. I just have a brief update on COVID-19 and some of the protocols, and really going to kind of frame this conversation primarily about the mask mandate. On February 28th, Governor Newsom, lifted that state mandate, and the kindergarten through 12th grade mask mandate is officially over tomorrow at midnight. So that means Monday, when our students come to school, that masks are no longer required. CDC still does strongly recommend, but this will really be an individual or family choice. So come Monday at school, the decision to wear a mask, whether it be for a student or an employee, will be that individual's choice or that family choice for that child. And we are going to ensure that, all decisions and all choices are respected and valued on the campus. And whether that student chooses to wear one or the staff chooses not to, that we want to embrace all of those choices and support those decisions. An announcement went out to families probably about 10 days ago. We will repost that announcement tomorrow. We really want to be good partners with our community, and I have to commend our community and our staff. We are starting to see the light of the end of the tunnel through this pandemic, and our community has given us outstanding support. They have supported all of our protocols. They have followed the procedures, and I know it's been difficult. And with that being said, we are also excited to start inviting visitors back on campus on Monday, March 14th as well. So we're really looking forward to that first-time kindergarten parent getting to walk their child to the classroom. That was an experience that they haven't got to have. And so we're really excited to see our families and our parents back on campus. The school sites have been eager to start filling our calendars full of evening and family activities. And so we're looking forward to seeing our families back on campus and getting all of those traditions back on our fourth quarter traditions, and getting the picnics and the family dinners and all of those things that make Fairfax so unique and wonderful. So thank you again for all the community support and the staff support. And so that is really the main change to the COVID protocols. We will still be following the CDPH guidelines and keeping in compliance with those, and maintaining other mitigations that are still in place, such as the contact tracing and testing, and all those protocols are still there. The only protocol that has changed right now is the mask mandate. So if you have any questions, please let me know, and we look forward to seeing families back on campus.
Instruction Service, Mr. Clark?
Hi, good evening. So in front of you, you have a timeline that looks like this. And so I'm just going to give you a brief kind of rundown of our LCAP timeline. So we've added a lot of new people in our district recently, and we were expanding a lot of our programs, and we have a lot of plans, a lot of things going on in our district, but they all really draw back to these three main goals. So I think it's important for the board to always, see our goals, and us as a staff to reflect on our goals. And so the LCAP update is that process for us to do that. So I've listed our top three goals at the top. Our goal one is about instruction and providing high quality instruction to our students, and retaining good teachers and develop our teachers and make sure all of our programs have everything they need. Goal two is focused on our English learners and providing services for those students. And our goal three is all about school connectedness. We want students to be at school, because if they're not at school, they're not going to learn. And so all of our goals and actions from all of our plans feed into these three primary goals. Everything we do is with these goals in mind. So the LCAP is a 3-year cycle. You may recall this time last year, I presented our LCAP to you as a board, which you approved, and it went through. We have about 21 action steps. And each year you're required to evaluate it. How's the plan working? And so we have some measurements that we're going to be looking at. But the first part of this is we get feedback. So starting next week, we're going to be sending out our annual surveys to staff, parents, and students. And on the back of this paper, you'll notice that we're required, there's a checklist with any plan that we have to make sure you're in compliance with. And it gives you a list of all of the required members that you meet with, your teacher groups, your parent groups, administration. The board is not listed as a specific required stakeholder group. And in fact, I got to correct myself. We don't call it stakeholders anymore. It's educational partners. But because the intent is the board can participate all the time. We want you to engage and reach out to Mrs. Green and any of us to always give your feedback through public meetings, or if you'd like to meet with any of us, but there's not a specific format for board feedback other than your informal feedback with us. So after we collect all of our surveys, we have 2 town halls scheduled that we're going to be meeting with our DLAC, and we're going to invite all of our English learner parents, and we're going to be focusing on all 3 goals, but we're really going to be looking at that goal 2 to make sure to get specific feedback on English learner, our English learner services we provide. We're also going to be doing general town hall meetings. So we have those 2 dates coming up on the 24th and the 31st. And we're all going to be presenting, Mrs. Brown, myself, Mrs. Green will all be there on Zoom. And so we encourage you to attend. And we have our other administrators on to help answer questions in the chat. So it's a real team effort there. From there, we start looking at our measurements and analyzing what's working and what's not. So it's our opportunity to update our LCAP. So that's the purpose of it. While it's a 3-year plan, it is a living, breathing document that changes. Everything is going to come back to these main goals of providing instructional services through curriculum and instruction, educational services to our English learners, and to our School Connect in this goal. We want students at school. Then we will bring back to you in the May board meeting, the draft, taking all of those, all the feedback into consideration and updating our goals and our action steps. And then in June, you'll have the annual public hearing and the approval meeting, and then we'll do it all again next year. So there are lots of boxes to check when you go through the LCAP. And I just want to, when Mrs. Green was just talking about the kind of realignment, this is a truly team effort, because while we have different divisions throughout our district, it's all for these goals. This is what we're here for. And everything we do is for, and this, our LCAP really captures and embodies that. So I'll take any questions. If you have any questions, you're free to reach out to, like I said, Mrs. Green, myself, Mrs. Brown, Mr. Garday, any of us at any time. We'd be happy to specifically talk with you if you have questions or anything. But if there's any general questions right now, I'd be happy to answer any questions. Okay, thank you.
Student service report, Mr. Garday.
Good evening, everyone. So Student Services Department is moving along strong and steady. In special education, we're coming to an end of our referral deadline. So we've been preparing for a heavy amount of assessments to see as we kind of close out the year, as well as having a lot that are currently in progress. We started setting up monthly meetings with the superintendent of schools to kind of double check on and review all of our special education compliance data. Happy to report that after our first one, we were looking really good and got a really positive report back from the county. So our teachers and our staff are doing an awesome job. Our nursing department and the health services, we've seen a significant decrease in exclusions and exposures lately. So I think that's going to, something that's good to hear as we kind of approach the new choice in mask. And that's from both the student perspective as well as the staff perspective. It's been pretty significant. In our expanded learning program, Jen has been doing an awesome job. She's been exploring a ton of resources that we're looking to add depth and structure to our summer programs. One that we're really excited about is the possible addition of the Quest program. And it's just something that we're really excited about. Looks to be really engaging and a really worthwhile addition to our summer program. I think the staff and students will, once you guys get the ball rolling on that, I think we'll see a lot of engagement. Also in regards to summer school, staff projections are completed and will go out next week. Staff trainings have all been organized and scheduled. Student applications have gone out. They went out earlier in the week and a strong initial response so far. So we're gearing up for a strong summer, both June and July. Any questions? Yeah.
Sounds very busy.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, guys.
So this is a new section that we have added to our agenda. We truly see our union partners as partners. And so we added a section for KFTA and CSCA to give a report. And so do we have someone from KFTA to present?
Good evening to all of you. KFTA, first of all, would like to take this opportunity to say thank you to Mrs. Green for including this in the monthly agenda going forward so that we could talk directly to you. I wish I had some great knowledge or something deep to say to you that would just touch you, but I really don't. So I'm going to keep it short and to the point. As we all know, over the last few years, we've had quite a few issues come before us, and our district has faced some many difficult times. We did our best not to let these issues interfere with educating our students. We fought every way that we knew to keep our students educated and to continue on our mission. But, you know, these times have taken a toll. After listening to a couple people in the break room the other day, they were talking about what they would see if they Googled Fairfax School District on the internet, and it was not one bit flattering. It was not reflective of who we really are. But tonight, KFTA would like you and the community to know that we believe that those days are behind us, that we fully support our district's administration, that we are working with our district administrators. And in doing so, we are going to bring a positive light to our district so that when people hear and see about the Fairfax School District, they too will see the positive impact that we're going to be making on our students and our community. So in the future, we look forward to sharing and celebrating those successes with you. Thank you. I thought you should know that.
I don't know if anyone from CSEA is here or if they're on Zoom. Mr. Mack, if you can check and we can kind of unmute. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Board report? Nothing? Yep, nothing. Nothing. Okay. Consent? Do I have a first motion or is there some comments, questions? If not, do I have a first motion?
I move that we have the consent from item 1 all the way through item 9.
Do I have a second motion? Second, roll call. Cornell?
Hold on a second. I think we have.
I have a quick question. For this section, can we still approach for public comment or?
Oh, actually, we could go ahead if it's. Sorry, I need to turn my mic on. If you can just tell us what specific item you wanted to talk about.
11.5. Section 11 and then on the 5.
Oh, okay.
The request to approve the public comments to be 3 minutes.
Okay, so if you just go ahead and Mr. Mack, go ahead and just start the time and then you can, once he lets you know that he has a time ready, you can go ahead and speak.
Okay, since my name is Maritza, I'm a parent for the district and I live in the community as well. I just saw this when I saw the meeting agenda, and I think that I'm requesting that it stays at 5 minutes because since it's the only time that the community and parents can come and address the board. And sometimes 5 minutes isn't enough. Sometimes there's issues that take more than 5 minutes, and especially if you're going to be translating it from your language to English, we do need the 5 minutes. And I think that previous, it was just the 5 minutes were convenient to certain board members depending on what the issue was. So I think it should just be stay at 5 minutes. That's my opinion as a parent and community member. If you guys, can consider that and leave it at 5 minutes instead of changing it to 3. Thank you.
Normally, I'm not supposed to comment, but I do want the community to know that when something needs to be translated, we give an additional amount of whatever the set time is, we double that time to allow for translation. So regardless of how many minutes are approved tonight or not, we will always ensure that our parents receive that extra time for translation.
Can it be explained to the community why the change or what the reason behind it is?
So generally, it was proposed by a board member to change that. We did do some research, and this 3 minutes is consistent with other school boards within the district. In fact, when we did our research, most of the school boards were 3 minutes. We also have changed our agenda and our procedures to allow for comment on any item, not just at the beginning for public comment. So we have increased the opportunities for the public to make comments on specific agenda items. With that being said, the thought behind that is we would like the board to know specifically what the public has to say on an agenda item prior to them voting on it. This, as I said, it was requested by a board member, and this is just bringing us in line with all the other districts in Kern County. And we also always have the ability to have the board president and the board to vote on extending the time on any given issue.
So you would be safe. You could still talk longer.
Okay, if there's no more comments, do I have a first motion? Oh, you did. So roll call, okay. Cornell,
Hold on a second. Why don't we do this? Why don't we have Christina, can you read back what you have?
second. I did second,
The whole consent session,
yes,
section.
yes.
So that, just so that people on Zoom can understand what's going on, I want to make sure we go ahead and just repeat what was done. We have Trustee Lawson motioned to approve the consent agenda. Trustee Rios second the motion, and now we're on roll call.
Cornell,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Tapia,
Aye.
Permiso and I.
Okay, we're going to stop you right there because in consent section is the personnel report. And I am very, very pleased to announce that Mr. Bobby Martinez will be our new principal at Virginia Avenue. Please come up. Mr. David Hernandez will be our new principal at Fairfax. And Ms. Renee Johnson, I'm so sorry. I sent her on a training, but it was a really, really good training. She is going to be our new vice principal at Fairfax Junior High. And what I have to say is not surprised, but I felt blessed to see the pool of applicants that we had that were internal applicants. Every single one of them were stellar. I was not on the interview. I was there for the interview, but I wasn't a voting member. But I would just have to say, I was thoroughly impressed with every single candidate. but I will tell you that these two gentlemen standing before you, I'm not a crier, but I was so touched by both of their interviews that, I had a little tear in my eye. And I will tell you, especially when both of them talked about their influence of their parents and their family. These are the administrators that I want working for me and for our district and for our teachers and staff. These are the men who I believe will be an absolutely incredible role model for the young men that we have in our district, as well as our young women, but they are truly extraordinary men, and I'm proud to have them on our team. And yes, we're taking a picture. Oh, and you guys are not done yet. I want you guys to say something. I didn't tell you guys ahead of time. This is your first test. This is your final interview. So, Mr. Martinez.
Hopefully I don't ugly cry, but if I do, sorry. First and foremost, I want to thank the board, Ms. Green, for giving me the opportunity, and everybody else here that I've grown along with, people in this room, teachers and students, communities. My beautiful wife, who's always been, I won't cry, who's always given me strength and support. My parents, who are lifelong educators, who always instilled a sense of humbleness and respect, and just a true championed education on all aspects, community, staff, teachers, students, everything. And just, I'm really excited to have the opportunity. I started my educational career at Virginia Avenue with Miss Laura Brown hiring me. I'm excited to follow in the footsteps of Mr. Garday and continue the deep-rooted traditions and culture that are there. And I'm just really excited to come back home and continue those traditions and community, grow with the students, the staff, the community, the parents, and just do really well. And I hope I make everybody proud that's given me this opportunity. And kind of like Mr. Mack would always do, we are Vikings.
And I just wanted to add something before Mr. Hernandez comes up. I don't know if many of you know, but I lived at 2807 Virginia Avenue. So this community means a lot to me. And when I went to Mr. Martinez, I said, hey, look, I was able to get a grant for Hazel Health. I need this to work for Virginia Avenue. And he said, absolutely, boss, whatever you need. And that's when I knew I wanted him on our team. So, thank you. Okay, Mr. Hernandez.
Bobby got me all choked up already. So thank you. I've only been in this district since January, and you guys have been amazing. You really have. Everyone has come up and just been so helpful, almost going out of their way, but they don't make it seem like they're going out of their way. Really sweet. Some people from my site, I know Mr. Garcia and Walker, thank you. My right-hand man and one of my new best friends, Mr. Foster, thank you. An incredible principal, a wonderful mentor, Ms. Wendy Burkhead, thank you. Some of the other principals I've got to meet, really awesome, and people at the district. So I joke that I'm out there waving and seeing people in the mornings or the afternoon. It's a wonderful community to be a part of. I want to thank Mrs. Green very much. I appreciate all your support. My principal from my last district who really helped me out, who's not here tonight, Leanne Scott. My parents, and most especially my family. Excuse me. My wife's a teacher and my daughters. One of them's playing a softball game right now. We're a softball family, so we're keeping an eye on the score. and my oldest daughter Shelby. But anyhow, thank you so much. There's a lot of people to thank, but I feel really blessed to be here and looking forward to doing a great job. Thank you.
And don't worry, next board meeting, we'll make Ms. Johnson come up and have to say something and take a picture. She's not out of the woods just because she's at an iReady training.
Action items. If there's no questions, do I have a first motion?
For just number 1 through. 1 through 5.
Oh, 1 through 5?
Yes. Or 1 through 5.
Do I have a first motion?
Is he going to, is Mr. Matt going to
It's 1
present
through 5.
1 through 5?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I move that we vote on action items 1 through 5.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
There's no more questions? If not, Cornell,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Tapia,
Aye.
and for me, it's an aye. Mr. Mack. Request to approve second.
I have to give
Oh,
a
okay.
presentation real quick, unfortunately. Yeah.
No, that's fine.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone. And again, thank you for the opportunity. I think I have a short time because I believe if we get out of 7:25, I win a bet. So I kind of have like control of it right now.
I have tons of questions, Mr. Mack.
Oh, no.
Remember that I drink my coffee black now, so.
All right, so this is our second interim budget report for the 2021-2022 school year for the Fairfax School District. What is the purpose of the second interim? Well, number one, it's required by law. It's our second mid-year financial review, and we're required to analyze the current and 2 subsequent out years. We're looking at our actuals from the beginning of the year through January 31st, 2022. The board must take action and to approve this, and we are required to submit it to the County Office of Education. A little bit of an update on the state budget report. As we all know, inflation rates have accelerated recently, right? So we're at a 5.6% inflation in October. It's now to 6.5% as of December 2021. This is all from the California Department of Finance. Now, we do have California revenues are still, again, exceeding expectations. The proposed budget on this new cycle, as we've been through these COVID pandemic years, generally we certify on our P2 data that our ADA from P2 is what gives us our ADA that we use in the LCFF calculator. This current second interim uses a new proposed calculation. So they have not set what ADA will be set on this year, but what the most likely scenario is going to be is our ADA will be based on a 3-year average of the last 3 years. And so that's to take note of it. ADA has declined. However, the last 2 years we were held harmless. Now this is ADA, so percentage of kids coming. It's not the actual, we're not looking at enrollment numbers. We're looking at the percentage of kids attending school, taking attendance. That's what we're paid on, not just enrollment. Also, because revenues in the state have been so high, Prop 98 funding has hit a mark that some thought would never be hit. But what it does is the reserve limit has kicked in this year. So we have a maximum reserve limit of 10% for as a district. Our board policy is a minimum of 7, but the state will set a maximum of 10. We usually carry a 12 historically. What does that mean? What that means is anything over that 10% mark will be required to earmark those funds in reserve, and we have to earmark them based on a resolution. right? So we have to actually say what we're going to do with those funds. We don't have to spend them right away. We can move them to Fund 25 and we can set them aside for capital expenses, but they do have to be earmarked if revenues come in as they are proposed. Some changes since first interim, the shade structures are in the works, expanded learning programs allocation is in. We have these new program specialist positions as we're putting in. And so from here, we're going to take a look at our unrestricted budget. Okay, the second interim, as you saw, the attachment covers all unrestricted and restricted funds. However, our restricted funds, those are the ones that have all the fund strings attached to them, right? And our unrestricted funds are those ones that we have a little bit more decision and discretion to work with, as they are, most of them are tied to our LCAP goals. However, that's where I'll be focusing on the remainder of the report. So a couple things that I want you to take a look at is our unrestricted revenues. Our original budget revenue was $30 million, a little over $30 million. At first interim, we adjusted that to 31. So far, all revenue has held. And the reason it's holding is, remember, our ADA is in this held harmless. So we're not adjusting by fluctuation because we know our ADA, the state has kind of like set it. So we don't have this adjustment how you would usually see year to year for this specific year. So that's why when you're looking at first interim, going from first interim to second interim, you see no change. All of our state revenues, the mandated block grants and lottery funds, all the assumptions have held, and all our local revenue, the interest, lease, and holdings, all the first interim assumptions have continued to hold on that. So our revenues are pretty much staying just like they were from first interim, made no adjustments there. Looking at expenditures, we did have some certificated savings from leveraging some one-time dollars to pay substitute and supplemental pay. So some of that was moved to restricted funds. So you'll see that savings there on our unrestricted side of certificated salaries. Also, we had the savings from an unfilled speech language pathologist. Mr. Gardet wouldn't call that a savings, I'm sure. You know, we have yet to be able to, we've been trying all year long, but of course we've budgeted in the budget, we have a full-time position that is yet to be filled. So we show reflection on that. We moved funds from books and supplies to services to keep the budget status quo, but expenditures, everything's pacing very well along. Not tons of movement there. Unrestricted transfers out. Again, we do have planned deferred maintenance, about $450,000 that we're setting money aside for our new 450 for our deferred maintenance. That would be our asphalts, our summer projects going on, and then another $500,000 that we're setting aside for the new school. All right, as we're looking at building Site 5, that costs money to get those things going. So we have some money set aside for that as well. When you look at our ending fund balances, so again, our original ending fund balance at the original adopted budget was 19,000. At first interim, it creeped up to 74, and you can now see that it's up at $573,000. What is that from? Again, it's leveraging these one-time funds, as we've gotten a lot of these restricted dollars that we've been able to offset from the to the restricted side. Again, also the introduction of expanded learning mid-year, some funds coming into that. Our unrestricted reserve percentage right now is 15.9%, and our ending fund balance, remember that 579,000, that's not cash, right? That's not necessarily cash in the bank. That's just as we look at, because we always have the cash flow situation going on as well. The cash flow does look good. But again, so right now our unrestricted reserve percentage is looking at 15.09%. So talking about what I said at the very beginning, that cap's going to be at 10%. So we'll be looking at where we can specifically set some funds, some capital outlays or other purposes. I'm sure Mr. Walker would be very happy to have some discussions on that as well. But there are discussions to be had. Now, looking at our unrestricted multi-year projection, okay, the 2022-23 school year takes into account the governor's proposed 3-year average of ADA. That's a rolling average. It's something new that hasn't happened. Our ADA will next year, taking a conservative approach from where our P1 was, which was about 2470. We used to sit at our 96%, be at about 2600. So when we're looking at this, if we took just this year's ADA as it, we'd be down 2400. That would be a big hit. So we get to average that and offset it with the last 2 years. And that with a 5.3% COLA is going to give us a projected revenue increase, right? A 4% increase of $32,513,303. So the governor has proposed a generous COLA, as he knows many schools are seeing this declining enrollment due to declining ADA. It's not a decline in enrollment. It's a decline in ADA on how we've had to collect attendance the last couple of years and how that's reported. Independent study, students having to be taken out of the classroom because of exposures, that has had an impact on our ADA. And so a 5.3, that looks like I know everyone's looking at, oh, that's a great COLA. However, some of that is to offset that declined ADA. So when you look at the change, that's a 4.4% change. In the offset years after that, they're proposing a 3.1% COLA. Now you see an increase, but increased in the even the next year at 33 million. That takes into consideration that by then, if all things are planned accordingly, we go back to our 96% ADA percentage rate that we've had in the past. So that 23-24 year takes into a consideration of that. So hopefully we hit those. But again, I'm taking a very conservative projection, was used for the reduced ADA, right, which are 2595, that 2600 number. That's our held harmless number, to that 2472, that 3-year average. So that 5.3 COLA really helps us kind of balance that out. But again, our hold harmless, where our ADA set is that 2595, almost that 2600 number that you've heard me speak about. So again, unrestricted multi-year projections. You're looking at some of those as we built in some of the different areas. There's an increase in supplies that you've seen in there due to inflation. So we're looking at that to try and keep everything going, and ongoing LCAP expenses. We want to continue our bus maintenance program. So when you see our capital outlays there, and also planning for the new school. And so you can kind of see where everything's budgeted in there. There's the 2.82%, which is our historical steps and columns increase to salaries. Again, there is, when you look at employee benefits, there's a proposed 5.37% increase to employee benefits. As we know, PERS is being raised again. And so we take into a 5% increase in that. Again, books and supplies at 12.36, our services and operating expenditures at 9.42. That's that increase that we're looking at, trying to keep everything up with inflation to be able to keep and maintain the programs that we currently have. Also, you'll see that big increase at 24% in capital outlay. Again, that's as that continue our bus maintenance program, as well as planning for that new school year to get that school built. You'll see that increase in there along the way. Again, as we're looking at our ending fund balances, like we talked about this year, we're proposing a $573,000 increase to our ending fund balance. And then you'll see about $500,000 increase on each offset year. By maximizing our one-time funds to increase the fiscal health of the district is how we're able to do that. Keep in mind, we have many new programs going on, as well as in the process of building a new school site. We've added quite a few. We're looking to add, as we have added some job descriptions, some new staff in there. So we need to keep up with that. And as school services recognizing the ongoing increased inflation, we want to make sure that we have some cash set aside so that we can keep our reserves up, earmark some of those funds as well, so that we can maintain all our purchasing power with cash. Because as we all know, cash is what got us through our past issues in the last couple of years. And so we want to continue to be able to do that and not have to go and borrow or do any trains. Right now, there's no cash flow issues on the time. Our predicting cash balance is $9.5 million at the end of the year. That's carrying over quite a bit, about $5 million of restricted funds from our ESSER 3 funds, our ESSER 3, our effectiveness block grant, and many of these restricted funds that we've gotten through there. Our expanded learning opportunity program is $2 million of that has to be expensed by 2024. So we do have a large amount in there, but the vast majority of that is that restricted funds that we've been going over the year. We're not just blowing through it. We're kind of using it to maximize these one-time funds. So looking ahead, our governor will revise the budget in May. And from there, the district, our 22-23 budget will be presented in June with the final revision to this year's budget. So with that, I recommend the approval of the second interim budget, and I will open it up to questions if there are any.
If there's no questions, do I have a
Nice
first
job.
motion?
I so move.
Do I have a second?
Second motion.
Cornell?
I do have a question. How long were we supposed to wait?
We already know. I lost it. I gotta get coffee.
That's an I for me.
Lawson?
Aye.
Tapia?
Aye.
For me, and I?
So now's the point in the agenda where if board members have any items for future board agendas for consideration. Okay. Okay. Seeing none, then superintendent's closing remarks. If one of the things that's very important to me as an employee of the district and is to highlight the great things that we see every day that our teachers and our students and staff are doing. So you'll notice that every month we try to highlight either a program. If you haven't already done so, Ms. Brown, Mr. Mack, and I had the pleasure of being judges for some of the science fairs in the district. We have some of the winners displayed in the back, and we would really appreciate it if you just stop and just take a look at the great work that our students and staff do on a daily basis. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Adjourn at 7:30. 7:30.
Yes.
Thank you.
Brown is the winner.